Hey y'all, welcome back to Chat with Coach Amy. Today I have my group client, Laura, and I'm so excited for you to hear her story. And I have tissues nearby because I imagine I might need them because you have a very tender story. And we want to be very kind to those that are listening, that she has walked a road of cancer and loss, but also cancer and victory. And that makes me want to cry my eyeballs out. I didn't even plan to say that. But do you agree with that though?
Yes, I have tissues nearby too.
Yeah, I think you're gonna need them. So this is sweet Laura, and when she came to coaching, girl was bald-headed with her little do-rag, and now look at her beautiful hair. If you're listening on the podcast, you need to go to YouTube and watch this so you can see her pretty hair. It's gorgeous, and it really does make me so happy to see it. I know I probably aggravate you sometimes. I'm like, oh. You're like, you're a ding dong.
I get it a lot.
Yeah, Katie, oh, I'm already tearing up. Katie, my daughter that has gone through alopecia and everything, she gets that too, because we have people that with her has come back. I mean, it's almost as long as mine. And somebody was near her recently and they're like, I really thought it was a wig. Like they had just seen pictures on Facebook. I'm like, no, that is her hair. That's grown out. But anyway, all right, Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Laura Rollerson. I am 53. I am a mom to 3 kids. My oldest son is 30 and he's married. My daughter is 28 and she still lives at home with me. And then my youngest son is 25 and he's also married.
Wow. You gonna walk me through all that whenever I start getting married? You'll help me out?
Sure.
Okay. Because it's going to be interesting. I'm sure it's very interesting having adult children that are married. And an adult child living at home with you. Do you have a niece that lives with you as well? Did I make that up?
Yes. And I have a niece that lives with it. She's not technically a niece, but we call her a niece.
Hey, even better.
She's as close as family. Her mom and I are best friends. And so she lives with us. She's lived with us for 2 years. So
very good. Very good.
It's been very good through all my cancer stuff that my daughter wasn't here with just me, that there was somebody else here too that she could bounce stuff off of.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and let you share your journey. If it includes THM, it doesn't, we'll bring that in later. I just wanted to give you a platform to be able to share your journey, because I think it's going to, even though people may not have or will go through what you've gone through, I just love your perseverance. And I know that every day isn't perfect. Nobody's is. But you have kept going under extremes. And I think that is incredible. So I can't wait to hear. I don't know everything, of course, but I know enough to know that I'm excited to hear this and nervous that I'm going to cry my eyeballs out, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So you go ahead, however you want to start.
Okay. So my THM journey actually began, I'll start there, in March of 2014. I probably in the first 6 months to a year lost about 35 pounds. I did not do, now I know I did not do THM very well.
Bless.
Which is why I probably, lost the first 35 pounds and then stalled.
Right.
And didn't go much more. Things like, I was very heavy in S meals.
Yeah.
All the cheese, all the heavy, meals you could do. That's what we were doing.
Of course.
Because that's what my husband and my family liked.
That's right.
All my kids were still at home at the time. So that was the things they liked. So that's what we ate a lot of. Having a fuel-full snack was never in my vocabulary. Doing meals every 3 to 4 hours was not something I did. It was, breakfast, lunch, supper. And then a snack late at night was my routine. Then in 2016 was our big year of change. My oldest son moved out to go get a job. And then my youngest son moved out to go get a job close to where his fiance at the time was living. And then he got married. And shortly after he got married, my husband was diagnosed with acute leukemia. So we spent 30 days in the hospital at his initial diagnosis. You're admitted to the hospital and you're there for 30 days.
Wow.
So, THM at that time obviously went out the window. When you're in the hospital for 30 days, you don't eat on plan. So eating went out the window. He battled leukemia. He was, in remission, did better, did a lot of traveling in 2017 while he was in remission. Then in fall of 2017, came back out of remission. He had a bone marrow transplant from our oldest son was the donor.
Wow.
There was not a match otherwise. So that was, that's a 50% match. So our oldest son was his bone marrow transplant donor.
Wow.
So that meant another 30 days in the hospital. And then after a bone marrow transplant, if you don't live within a certain radius of the hospital, you have to stay nearby. Okay. So we were in Lexington, Kentucky at the time. So we were 30 days in the hospital, and then we stayed at the Hope Lodge for another 2 months.
Yeah.
And we were at the Hope Lodge. So we were 3 months away from home with the Hope Lodge stay. So again, the Hope Lodge had people bringing in meals every night, which was a huge blessing. But again, all kinds of not unplanned things, all kinds of desserts. I mean, there were always desserts, there were always donuts, there was always anything you could want. It was there.
Yeah.
And so then he was in remission again for a while. We have a theme of falls. There was something about the fall. Then fall of 2019, he again came out of remission from his transplant. Was back in the hospital another 30 days. Every time, that you came out of the primary remission, you were a 30-day in-house chemo, because it was a very intense thing, requiring blood and platelets every day or two.
Wow.
Constantly requiring that blood and platelet transfusion. Then we got to the point where we had exhausted everything locally. We went down to MD Anderson in Houston, Texas, and we were there for 3 months until the doctor said they had nothing else left to offer, because we were on a clinical trial at that point. He just got to where there was nothing left to offer, even in Houston. So we came home, and we were home for less than a month. He died in July of 2019. Earlier this week was the 4-year anniversary. Earlier this week was the 4-year anniversary of that.
And I feel terrible like asking you to do that this week. Like I've had a really hard time with that, but I'm like, I can't. I don't think I should move her because she chose it. And you're a grown woman.
And I thought about that as I was choosing it. I was like, okay, can I do it that week? And I'm like, no, that's really the best week to do it, and I can do it.
I feel like you've gotten through the hardest part, but I might be wrong.
He died 4 days before our 29th anniversary.
Oh, Laura. And what day is your anniversary?
So tomorrow is our anniversary.
Tomorrow. 7/7, huh?
His funeral was 4 days ago, 4 years ago today.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna say he is so proud of you. He is. I can't wait to hug you in a week. I'm in a conference. This is gonna air on the 17th. So there's a few days before this is gonna be like real life to people. But by then I will have hugged you a lot. Probably more than you've ever wanted.
I'm very much a hugger, so
Oh,
bring
well,
it on.
great. Because there's some that aren't, and I think they just get over it because they know I'm a hugger.
I'm very much a hugger.
Oh man. Okay, so he passed away in his funeral 4 years ago, and your anniversary is tomorrow. And it will be how many years? 29 tomorrow? What did you
No,
say?
it was 29 before he passed.
Oh, I see. So you're in the 30s.
So tomorrow would be 33.
33. Gotcha. Wow. Wow. Your children were how old when he passed away?
So that was 4 years ago. So they were 26, 24, and 23.
Wow.
No, 26, 24, and 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still in their early 20s.
Yeah.
Mm.
Our oldest got married while he was in MD Anderson, and so he was unable to go to the funeral, unable to go to the wedding.
Yeah.
So I flew. It was in Wisconsin, so I flew from Texas to Wisconsin for the wedding.
Wow.
But he watched it live stream. So
How did you survive all of that?
God and lots of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
My elephant necklace. I have a group of ladies that the day he was diagnosed, I quickly sent out a Facebook message to and said, because we homeschooled all of our kids, so we had been at a homeschool camp the week before he was diagnosed. And he was sick at that camp, and so he had been in the hospital. Long story short, doctors did not tell us cancer, did not even mention cancer or leukemia or any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had been with this group of people the week before. And so I just quickly messaged all these ladies and said, hey, the doctor just called. He's got acute leukemia and we're supposed to go straight to UK hospital and be admitted for 30 days. So that group of ladies became my support in addition to God. They became my, physical and emotional support anytime I needed to reach out. They were, there was always somebody online as I sent out a chat. I knew I could immediately get a response from somebody.
Wow.
And at one point in time, one of the moms found a story about elephants, and when elephants are having a baby, all the other elephants surround them and protect them, and while they're down. And so they're my group of elephants.
That's beautiful.
Whenever I'm down, I know that they are there for me. And different ones of us have taken turns being the one in the center. They've all in the last 4 years gone through things as well and walked through various trials. And so we just continue to be that support group for each other.
Precious. Do y'all live in the same area or not?
No.
Isn't that the best? Online friends. I love it. It's the best.
Alabama, Tennessee, Northern Illinois.
Wow.
There's a couple of them in this area. We moved from where I lived with my husband, my daughter and I. We were out in the middle of nowhere, small rural town, house in 66 acres.
Wow.
Was not something that my daughter and I grew up with. And my husband and I talked about everything.
Yeah.
He knew what was coming.
Yeah, of course.
And so we talked about everything, and he said multiple times, you guys need to move. You do not need to stay here. You need to move.
Yeah.
And so actually the nephew, so the brother of the niece that lives with us, he bought the house in 66 acres. So he always called us, he always called me Aunt Laura. So he bought the house, and so he's continuing on with the house and the property.
That's so special.
And making a small farm out of it and doing all the things that he wanted to do.
Oh, that's
so we moved then from that town in rural Kentucky up to where we are now. And 3 of the ladies that are part of that group live in this area, which is part of the reason why we chose this area.
Okay.
because I knew I would have the support system. So we moved here in October of 2020.
Okay.
And then, again, it has been such a blessing that then few years later in May of 22, so last year, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So again, I have that. It has been very beneficial that I had that support group from those ladies and also from the church here. The church we had in rural Kentucky was very small, and so it's a much larger group here. And so the church family here has just been wonderful to us, doing meals and yard work and whatever we need done. They have taken care of things. So
that's awesome. So whenever you were diagnosed with ovarian cancer, were you just like, for real? Because that's what I'd have done. Oh yeah, for real?
Yes and no. My family history of cancer is very high risk. My mom had ovarian cancer.
Okay.
And so it was actually one of the things I said multiple times to my husband was, I was supposed to be the one to get cancer, not you.
Gracious. Because
we knew that was a very strong possibility for me. Well, I still got cancer.
Yeah.
So.
And so tell me a little bit about that journey.
Well, and I had gained, through the course of all that other stuff, I had gained all of that weight back. And, my daughter and my niece, we were all very much enablers.
I bet.
So it was like, oh, it's the second anniversary of when he passed. Let's go get an ice cream cake to celebrate his heavenly birth.
Right.
And so we'd go get an ice cream cake, or, I feel like donuts. Oh, I feel like donuts. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, I had gained all of that weight back that I had lost. And actually the before picture I sent was taken 5 days before I was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
That picture was taken on May 1st, and I was diagnosed May 5th. And so I was having some symptoms at that time, but very minimal. But 2 days later, my symptoms had gotten worse. And that's the thing, I'm very much an advocate for people listening to their bodies after all of this. And my mother drilled in me the ovarian cancer symptoms because they're very easy to pass off. It's, bloating, vague abdominal pain, changes in menstrual cycle, and or changes in bowel and bladder habits. What woman doesn't experience that once a month?
Yeah, for sure.
But I knew something was wrong. And so I went into work that Tuesday morning, and my boss said, "How are you today?" And I'm like, "I'm not good." And he's, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, I said, "Something's wrong." And I said, "I'm having all this abdominal pain. I'm bloated." And by the time I had surgery, I looked like I was 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
Which is probably part of that picture.
Yeah. You don't even look like my Laura. I don't know who that girl is.
Well, I don't have long hair there, so
But still, your face, you don't look the same to me.
And so I went to the doctor, and I told the doctor, and he said, "Go call your doctor." So I went and called the doctor, and thankfully she listened to me. And I said, "My gut feeling is cancer." I said, "Because this is, what my mom has drilled into me." And I said, I'm concerned. And, in all of the stuff with my husband, I did not do yearly things that I should have done. I had not had routine checkups and things that I should have done. And I had called and tried to schedule an appointment, and, my first appointment available was September of 22. So,
Wow.
6 months after I was, or whatever, 5 months after I was diagnosed
Wow.
was when I could get in. So she scheduled me to have a CAT scan, and she, like I said, she was willing to listen to me, and she said, you know, we'll do a CT scan. She goes, but I really think it's your appendix. And she said, but I'm willing to order the CT and we'll see. And it'll show if it's appendix or if it's something else. Well,
it was something else. You were right. I love it when they don't listen to us when we know our bodies. It's my favorite thing in the whole world.
She listened.
That's something that I have learned. You know, I just finished health coach certification, and that is one of the first thing they drilled into us was your clients know themselves. You don't. And it is very important for me, for what I do, to listen. And any doctors, nurses out there, I'm not shaming you, but take a tip because they do.
And I'm a physical therapist, so I'm in the medical field.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, that's something I have definitely, you know, before and even now, just, you know, your own body, or most people know their own body.
That's right. That's right.
And so we shouldn't discount that. And so
that's right. Yeah. You know, and guide them, of course, but when you know something's wrong, there's something wrong. Yeah. So what did that look like with your treatment? And then I know at some point you came back to THM because you found good old me.
While I was sitting at home, you know, it wasn't working. While I was sitting at home from May till, I don't know. I mean, I found you pretty quickly. I don't even know. I'm assuming that somebody else mentioned you, and that's how I saw you. It's some of my THM friends. But somehow along the way, as I'm scrolling,
you clicked it and found me.
I'm scrolling through all the Facebook things. I found this, you know, Southern girl showing off her Walmart grocery haul.
I love it. Oh, I love it. That makes me happy because, you know, sometimes I get tired of doing them things, but I hear my girls say, "Oh, but that's how I found you," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll keep doing them."
That's how I found you, was Walmart grocery hauls.
Oh, I love it.
And so I'd have to scroll back through my phone. I mean, I have screenshots of things you held up.
No way. That's what y'all do?
Yes. So I'll
have to write that tip out for others.
Yeah, I screenshot as you hold something up, and I'm like, oh, I need to look for that.
Wow.
So I'll have to look back and see how old my screenshots are.
The things y'all do, I don't know anything about. This is so interesting.
So I have multiple Coach Amy screenshots.
Oh my gosh. Who's this girl on your camera roll? I don't know. I think she lives in Mississippi somewhere.
Well, you have your own folder now.
Oh Laura, you have made my day.
You probably have several folders. You have a food folder, you know, of you showing different food items, and then, you know, then from doing your coaching, I have different screenshots from other things. You say, you know, screenshot or download. And so there's the downloads of different, you know, your protein list and your, you know, E list or S list and all those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have multiple folders.
Oh my stars. I love it. Great. I'm so glad.
So I knew, you know, during this whole chemo treatment, I thought, okay, it's going to be time. Once this is over, I've got to get healthy again.
Yeah.
You know, I've got weight to lose. And I had dabbled here and there with THM. I would do THM recipes. And so I would dabble and do, you know, we would do recipes out of the book in those years in between. And so we would make various recipes, but then, you know, we'd go get an ice cream cake and I'd eat it on plan as soup and then have ice cream cake for dessert.
Of course.
And so, like I said, during chemo treatment, I found you, continue to just follow all the things. And, you know, when I could, I would strive to be better about what I was eating. But again, people from church were bringing me food.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't going to put those restrictions on anybody because I hadn't been following it, you know, that closely anyway.
Yeah.
And so it was my plan that, okay, once chemo's done and I get the all clear, I'm signing up for bugs. So I signed up for Urine Buds. And I think I had done, we talked about this before in something else, probably in Blooms, that I had done. I think I did the Coach Canada, like Joy you guys did last
September. Yeah, last year.
September last year.
Yeah.
And so that's really when I took my first measurements and weighed, was September 1st, when that would have started.
Right.
And so kind of my loss since, to date, since really starting it again. And in September 1st, I probably wasn't completely 100% because I was still, I was still finishing up some of the treatment stuff and things, but so that's kind of where my I have weight and measurements from then and then when I started Buds. Yeah. So I'm right, and I'm going to be a turtle loser. But I'm down right at 20 pounds.
That's awesome.
From September. But I know my body has lots of healing to do.
But you have, because you turn in your tracking sheet most times, and you have turned a huge corner just from what I remember. And that's a gift from God that I remember stuff like that. But I know that you have. And so that is huge. And you just keep, and you know this, but you just keep doing that and plugging away. One day. Ooh. That's right. Somebody asked me today, I made a post about not wanting to work out Wednesday morning. No, I did not want to do it. I griped and complained. Wes was like, shut up. But I griped and complained all the way till I started to hit play on that workout. And I took a picture. And somebody asked, how much have I lost? And I'm like, what rock you been under, girl? I talk about this all the time. But I didn't say that. And I haven't responded yet because I haven't had time, but I will. Because people are always new coming, and I just forget about that sometimes, but I'm going to send her a link to my 6-year trim-iversary so she can hear the whole Megillah. She can hear the whole story. Yes. So how did you go about making that transition from pretty much doing whatever you wanted and buckling down? I think it is a beautiful thing that God had already placed THM in your life so many years before. So you did have a foundation. You didn't have to, start from scratch, although you might feel like you did.
In some ways I did.
Yeah, trying to get good things in your kitchen. And then, of course, I come in and just probably blow your mind a little bit. So anyway, tell us how that worked. And
really, I found as I was trying to be better about doing things, I was having lots of joint pain from chemo, was my biggest issue that I found that I was, fatigue and joint pain were my two biggest obstacles after I finished chemo that I was struggling with. And I was trying to be better about my eating. And so I had cut down on my sugar. And then it was in November. I had, like I said, cut out sugar. And then I was at an event in November, a fundraiser, and I had a piece of cheesecake. And seeing how much pain I had the next day from eating sugar really was my my big eye opener. Mm-hmm. That okay, I cannot eat sugar. Yeah, I had it consistently enough here and there that I hadn't noticed it before that. But at that point, I think Buds had already started, and so I was being better about watching my sugar and not having any. And so I had probably been a good month with no sugar. Wow. And I had that sugar, and the next day I did not want to get out of bed. And I was like, okay. Isn't that just amazing? I had a new one-on-one session started this week, and one of my clients, she did her little sign up and her deposit and everything probably a month ago. And she decided at that point to get cleaned up a little bit, and she has a similar story. And she said, do people not know how bad they really feel? And I said, I think they don't. I don't think that they do. I mean, I was the same way. I mean, we all were. We all had that starting place. But I do. So many people that are still on the standard American diet, which is the majority of society,
they just bless them. They just don't know how bad they really, really do feel. But it is such an it's such a beneficial sacrifice to get off sugar. Now, whether you follow THM to lose weight or follow THM to maintain or just to be healthy, because Trim Healthy Mama is most important, Southern and healthy. That's what I want. My business name is not Southern and skinny. It's Southern and healthy. That's so important to me. And pulling that sugar, and then as you have learned, doing different things to reduce inflammation, it just makes all the difference in the world. It really does. It really does. Yeah. So what would you say has been most beneficial to you with learning how to fuel your body correctly?
The biggest thing is to keep it simple. That was the thing that most stuck with me when I did THM before. Is I'm tired of being in the kitchen all the time. I'm tired of cooking all the time. And, some of that's changed since 2014 because there's more options out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In 2014, there was very few things you could buy off the shelf that would be THM approved.
Right.
And so that has helped tremendously. But my veggie intake before was very minimal. And so to add cucumbers and mini peppers to my plate was not something that happened.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point in time, I think I even, messaged or questioned or something about, you talk about the baby cucumbers all the time. I was not a huge cucumber fan. And I'm like,
yeah. I don't care. Just put them on your plate and eat them.
I don't think I can do those, but the mini cucumbers do taste better. And I like them much better than a regular cucumber.
Agreed.
So, for anybody who's unsure because they don't love cucumbers, mini cucumbers are way better than regular cucumbers any day.
Right. I agree. Amen. Tell them, girl. Tell them.
but the keeping it simple, and that's, because my niece and my daughter are not on plan. I very much try to keep things that are simple for quick, easy meals in the house. So if we've all worked, I'm only back to work part-time. I'm still building up my endurance to working full-time again. So a lot of days I just work my half day and I'd be home and I'd be worn out. Well, the girls both work, and so nobody wants to cook.
Right.
And so it's, we'll do something on our own. And so I have staple things that I keep that are easy and fast to throw. Your pizza skillet's one of them.
Good girl.
With some little, sausage patties in the refrigerator that I can throw a couple of those in the skillet, or what are my other things? I do eggs. I do breakfast
So good. Today, live in the kitchen, I did the hot bacon and egg salad. I made that maybe a couple other times, but it was so good. It was so good. Have you made that before?
I haven't made that one.
I mean, it's not hard at all. It's you do leafy greens, olive oil, nutritional yeast, salt and pepper. It has hot sauce. I didn't know that. You can. And then you cook up 2 eggs and some bacon and crush up the bacon and then just put the eggs on top. Like that's it. So easy. It was so good.
And that's, the live in the kitchen, seeing things, recipes that I never would have tried or never have tried. Seeing some simple, go-to meals has been a game changer for me. Like, okay, what can I eat that's simple?
Yeah.
It's been a big benefit.
So
those
glad.
days when I had low energy, what can I do that's fast and easy?
Yeah.
It won't take me long. Because my joint pain is primarily my right foot, my knees and hips. To stand very long in the kitchen and do stuff, I'm done. And so things that are short and quick. Another one I recently did was the air fried tostado.
Yes, so good.
Putting canned chicken in an air fryer completely changes how it tastes.
You are right, friend. You are right.
It changes what it tastes like. It's so much better sticking it in the air fryer.
Yes.
keeping it simple. Yeah. And just, having those things on hand. I think you've talked about that recently. Probably in one of the kitchen.
Probably so. Yeah, having a stock kitchen, and in coaching, I have that grocery list, like my staple, like what I always have. That was really hard to do and to stop because there's so many things that I keep, but I'm the way that I do things are a lot different than normal because of it's my job too. So it's kind of my job to do things outside the box and whatever. But anyway, it's super important to have your kitchen stocked and ready. Like I assume you've got canned chicken, you probably keep fat-free Greek yogurt, you keep a nut milk, you've got your collagen, you've got your freshies. I bet you even have some canned lentils. And
I don't. That's a new one I've got to start.
You gotta get them. That's a great, easy meal too, the canned lentils. And then frozen veggies, like they don't go bad. Oh, really? No, they don't. So when your freshies, you run out of those, you don't want to go back to the store, you still have vegetables, steam them in the microwave, saute them in a pan. I don't care what you do. Put them in the air fryer. Eat them. No excuses.
I keep zucchini in my and I do have a couple of bags of zucchini and frozen zucchini and squash. It's not as good, but keeping fresh zucchini in the fridge, keeping eggs, keeping egg whites.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what are some other things that you've taken from just THM or coaching that's kind of helped you be the best that you can be right now?
And probably the other thing was, that emotional eating that we talked about a little bit, that, everything on your plate does not have to be exciting and wonderful. It's just food.
Yep.
It's just fuel.
We got to put food in its place.
Yeah.
Because it controls too many of us. And I am in the middle of writing my Bible study. And I was Wes came in to check on me earlier, and I was just like almost in tears, like just thinking about how long I let food be in control of me. And I just got tired of that. And I just want everybody to know that you don't have to live like that. I mean, whether you do my Bible study or not, free right here, you do not have to live like that.
Yeah.
You can be in control. And, food is not your friend. It is not your comfort. Your relationships and your relationship with the Lord, that takes time to transition to that be your knee-jerk reaction, is go to God or go to your friends instead of to the pantry or the freezer. Right.
And that's what I really, I have my own plain desserts here and there, but I don't crave it anymore like I used to. And I used to overeat. I would eat on plan, but I would overeat the on plan things.
Yeah.
Like I talked about with all those heavy meals, and I had said before, man, if I ever had to give up dairy, that would be the end of the world.
Terrible.
Well, I don't use dairy as much as I used to. It wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world anymore. So I've been able to greatly reduce the dairy that I have. Coffee,
it's challenging. It's
challenging. The hardest thing.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. I had Wes and camp left really early this morning to go to the deer camp. And so I had the morning all to myself. Not that I mind Wes being around, but little kids and blah, 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 So anyway, I just stayed in my bedroom, which is the whole point of the reason we built the room we did. So I had my coffee in there, and I came and I sat down and I went to drink it, and I was like I forgot to put my creamer in there. And so anyway, I had to go back to the drawing board, but I fixed it. But it cracked me up because I got nut milk. Like it wasn't heavy, which actually pre-THM, it was Coffee Mate, whatever the season was, and like glug, 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 glug. I liked a little coffee with my creamer. But so anyway, it's so funny how we change, and we can adapt, we can change and evolve into that healthier you. And it's so worth it. I mean, seriously, they're going to be able to see your before and after, like, oh my gracious, you are a totally different person, and I'm sure the inside as well.
We took the after photo last night after we got home
Yes.
from Ohio. We
In the
did my
same
son's
shirt. And I
And so
love when y'all do that.
And I thought, let me do the same shirt and see. And it's like, oh yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yes. I'm so proud of you. That's exceptional. So, so good. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with your journey, or some go-tos or your favorites, or anything you wanted to share about that?
I think we've kind of talked about most of them. You know, like I said, my go-to fuel pull snack is definitely a collagen coffee.
Amen, sister. Amen. We shall have a collagen coffee together next week. We shall.
Yes.
Yes.
We're too good yogurt, but now it's personal choice.
I know. Let's not talk about it. You know, it makes me mad.
Or Coach K with peanut butter.
Amen. I had that today for my snack.
But yeah, really just keeping things simple.
Yeah.
And then having, you know, those baked items for in the freezer. You know, the kitchen challenge was really good. Sometimes, some weeks I was able to get some things done. Other times I wasn't.
Yeah.
Last week I wasn't. Last week, you know, no power for 24 hours.
Oh, that's the
storm.
worst.
And so, you know, we didn't have power. So we're going out to eat or just, you know, doing simple things. And then I had an injection in my foot one day. So that laid me up the rest of that day because I stopped and got some things at Aldi. And
what time does your Aldi open? My Aldi don't open till 9 a.m. What? It's a grocery store. They need to open up earlier than that.
I don't know. I'm not up enough early enough to worry about it. Have you noticed my tracking days that I don't have to go to work?
Yeah, I do.
Enjoy
them. I wish that I could sleep past 5 a.m., but apparently I can't. I've trained myself.
This chemo, I can sleep. That's not a problem.
I'm glad, but I am glad that you sleep and rest, because that is very important for your healing. Very important. All jokes aside.
And then, you know, on Thursday, I still have an infusion for maintenance once every 3 weeks. And so after I work on Thursdays, and so I went from work to my infusion. Well, then, you know, my port didn't work and they had to do stuff to make my port work. And then my kidney function was a little off. And they're like, we're going to give you, have you been drinking enough? And I'm like, I think so, but maybe I'm not drinking as much as I thought I was.
I better go back to that teaching.
I'm gonna go back to increasing my hydration this week. So I had to say, so I didn't, normally I'm out of there by 4:30. I was there till 7.
Oh my
God. There's no time to make anything in the kitchen this week between all the things that happened.
No.
But I was able to go on my trip to my son's house, and I had overnight cinnamon squares in my freezer that I was able to.
That was one of your favorites. That's awesome.
That I saved, you know, when we had no power for 24 hours and turned on the generator. I saved my overnight cinnamon squares and
yes,
plugged my freezer into the generator so I wouldn't lose anything.
That's right. That's a very important priority. Oh, I love it so much.
You know, you have all those things stocked in your freezer, even on the days you do feel good.
Yeah.
In my case, make the extra things so that if you're having a bad day, you can just pull something out.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna go a little deep. What would you say to a lady listening who has a high risk of cancer? Would you encourage her to head it off now and get healthy now?
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, I look at some of your clients who are going through cancer.
Yes.
And were healthy beforehand.
Yes.
You know, from what we see on Facebook and what we know on Facebook and here and there, and even in Mighty Networks, seem to be having a much better time of it than what I did.
Yeah.
And I pray for them that they don't have the side effects that I had. Because now I look back at it and think, you know, if only, but
you can't change yesterday.
I've learned not to live in if only land.
Nope.
It doesn't do me any favors either.
It does not. Your story will inspire others, and that's why I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah. So
good. So good. Thank you so much. This has been excellent. Oh, so good. How do you feel you handle emotional eating around the anniversaries of all the grieving and the memories? Are you handling that better? And there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just how you handle it.
I'm definitely handling it better. This weekend, Sunday and Monday were a rough day. He died, early in the wee morning hours of Monday, of July 3rd, just past midnight. And so Sunday was hard, and Monday was hard. But I went and bought some Rebel ice cream so that I knew I could have something when I needed it. And my kids all know. They're like, well, what, do you want something? I'm like, something was said about going and getting something. I'm like, I cannot do sugar. I will hurt worse. And then, that's not going to help matters either. If I hurt worse, then I'm just going to wallow more.
Right.
If I'm having more pain. So I'll eat my partial container of Rebel, and then I'll have some more the next day.
Right.
And I did. And then by the third day, I was like, I wish I had some more. I ate it all. But
you better wall it, girl. Gotta wall it.
I don't need it. I don't really need Rebel ice cream 3 days in a row. It's fine.
Yes.
So
that's awesome. Very good. Very good.
With it, knowing that God saw me through it, He'll see me through the hard days. The camp I recently worked at, the theme of the camp, and so I had a t-shirt, and so I wore it on Sunday from the camp. So it's my new go-to scripture. It's Habakkuk 3:18. Just before that, it talks about how if there's no fruit on the vines, if there's no fields produce no food, if the flocks are cut off, if there's no cattle, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, and I will rejoice in the God of my salvation.
No matter what.
That's my new theme verse, is that through all the bad things, I can still rejoice in God.
Amen.
And that hope that He gives me. I know that He's been with me through hard things, and He will continue to be with me through whatever hard things come my way. And that I'm not alone. Even if I'm alone physically on this earth, I'm not alone, that He's always with me. But I know, again, I'm surrounded. That's, this elephant's on all the time.
Of course.
That I know I'm not alone. I just have to reach out for help. And so I encourage ladies all the time that be it THM, be it whatever life circumstances, find a group of people to help you. Find people that are willing to be in your corner and will stand up. Sometimes that will coddle you and say, it's okay. But sometimes we'll tell you the hard things and say, no, you don't need to do that.
Right.
There's a place for some of both, I think.
I agree.
And I tell people all the time, if you don't have somebody like that in your corner, I will be that for you if you need me to.
Yeah.
Because
you're a very giving person.
Lots of people are alone in this world, and
you don't
I'm
want
willing.
that. Yeah.
I'm willing to do that for anybody.
You're an awesome person.
Thank you.
You are. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm very, very proud of you. Thank you so much for sharing this. I know that this is very personal, and I'm very appreciative that you opened up and shared your story with everybody, because I know it's going to touch a lot, and it's going to make a difference. And I would say in just one person, but I know it's going to be way more than that. It's going to be a lot. So, are there anything else you'd like to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, well, I guess the other thing, but
Go ahead. Yeah.
We've gone so many different.
It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's my podcast. It's fine. We can do anything.
And it's been in there, and what I've said that I just looked down at my notes that I wrote down is to find your why.
Mm-hmm.
my why is multiple things, you know. Most of all, I want to be there for my kids.
Mhm.
They've already lost their father.
Right.
I don't want to see them lose their mother too, but if that's what happens, they will get through it. As much as I love them, I know God loves them more.
That's right.
And so if something were to happen to me, God will be there with them through it. But you know, so wanting to be there for my kids, for my hopefully future grandkids.
Yeah.
No pressure. But obviously to get healthy, to not have to go through another cancer journey. You know, with my husband, we saw going into remission and coming back out. So doing everything I can possibly do to help keep that from happening again, to having to go through it again. So getting myself healthy, you know, having less pain, having more energy to try to get back to some sort of normalcy.
Yeah.
It's been a huge why for me. So my encouragement is don't give up, even when you're discouraged, even when you feel like things aren't moving fast enough. Don't forget your why.
Yeah. Amen. So good. So good. Thank you again. And I will see you in a few days. And when they hear this, I will have already seen you. So it's kind of weird, but it's fun. Oh my gosh. So good. You want to tell them bye?
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for listening.